Welcome to episode 2 of the Maximum Effort podcast. Today I got to sit down with my good friend Jeff Kudlacik, who was in a horrific car accident 2 years ago on March 10th, 2015. So he's here to talk to us more about that and just kind of tell us what he's been up to since then. So let's do it. Jeff, how the hell are you, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on today, Ryan.
Appreciate it, dude. It's been a long time coming, man.
Yeah, it's about time we got together.
Last time I saw you, man, you were stacking chips up in the basement, taking my money. So,
hey, some things don't change.
So I had to take some time off from you, man, because it's hard when you have all my money and I don't have any money and trying to do stuff like this. And
you can only take me in doses. I've heard that my whole life.
All right, man. So, what's up, man? What you been up to?
Well, right now I am currently working in a psychiatry office, and I've been doing that for the past year, just entering desk charges, posting office charges for the doctors I work for, verifying insurances, that kind of stuff. Besides that, I work out with 2 personal trainers, 4 days a week total. 4 of them with my good buddy Ray Vidari, who I met about last May, I believe. Got introduced by an orthopedic surgeon.
A year ago.
And then
I didn't even work with that guy for a year.
Yeah, since actually last April. Again, it was a lot different because I was still using a walker and didn't have much strength.
How time flies.
I know, right? And then also I've been working with you, every weekend.
Yes, sir. Well, not every weekend.
Right. I mean, well, that's not my fault all the time. But,
Yeah, we know. There's Joe Seagraves.
Other parties involved. And then besides that, I actually recently signed up to take the MCAT again in mid-July.
Awesome.
Because I'm looking at applying to medical schools again.
That's awesome, dude. You're the man.
Oh, thank you.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, which I don't know if you foresaw this coming in our conversation, but because you're a huge Lakers fan. You're a huge Kobe fan.
Ride or die, 24, baby.
And I know the retirement of Kobe really struck your heartstrings a little bit. So how do you feel about this whole Lonzo Ball, LeVar Ball coming to the Lakers? That's right. If Lonzo Ball gets drafted to the Lakers, LeVar Ball, that's a package deal. How do you feel about that? What do you think about that?
Well, personally, I think if Markelle Fultz does somehow slip past the Celtics, I'd take him. But honestly, Lonzo Ball's talented. He does have really good passing. Some call it elite. I watched him play at UCLA. Hopefully he just wanted to kind of bide his time until he got in the professional league. And about his dad, he's a loose cannon. But, hey, like you said, it's a package deal, And if you're drafting Lonzo, you're drafting LeVar too. So if you can help the Lakers get out of that rut.
You okay with that?
I'll take it. After these last
as long as he produces results, is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. You just got to get the dubs.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's been a long last 4 or 5 years or so for the Lakers, so it'd be nice to return at least to the playoffs, let alone win a title. All
right. Well, hey, man, as long as you're cool with it, I just wanted to hear your take. I don't even know. Should we even get into the Royals?
Yeah. I got time. We got hours to kill with this bad boy. Jeez.
There's just well, they beat the Indians last night, but so for context, today is May 27th, so they won last night.
Where to begin? Obviously, they won the title 2 years ago. That was a long time coming. That was the one bright spot of being in the hospital and stuff is I look forward to looking to watch them play, which is always a good time because they actually won. Not to mention, I'll never forget we watched Game 1 together of that World Series. And when I was definitely in doubt, feeling very negative, Gordon hit that home run to tie it up in the ninth.
Hey, man, that was awesome. When's the last time you've been out to a Royals game? You been since?
I have not actually been to a Royals game since probably late 2014. I think I went to like 10 games or something. There. I know. I miss Kaufman.
Kaufman misses you, man. As you can see by the record.
Other stands. They could use some people in the stands. They're a mess. It just sucks because obviously just it's a domino effect. Obviously what happened to Jordana Ventura, that was tough to swallow. Followed by then the trades of Dyson and Davis, and just piece by piece they've kind of let that team go. So hopefully they pick it up, but if not, it's another rebuilding process down the road.
All right, man. I have to talk Lakers. I have to talk Royals. It's too early for talk Chiefs.
Fair. We do have Auburn football, baby. A little too early?
I'm not. It's too early, man. I don't like. I don't like hype. I hate hype. Every time they hype us up, man, we tank. We piss the bed, man. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stay
we
away
don't
from
want
the
no
hype.
bed pissing.
We're gonna stay away from the hype. And I've also learned to keep Joe out of my house when we go to national championship games because.
I mean, you had a good shot, and then he was there, and now you don't. I mean,
no, I don't. Lost in the final minute. Anyways, switching gears, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. Actually, for the first time on May 1st, I officially dropped using the cane.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's...
For people that don't know about the progress, go ahead and finish what you're saying, and then go ahead and tell your story of your accident and everything that kind of came with it.
Of course. Okay, yeah. So like you said earlier, about March 10th, 2015, I was driving home from Paradise Diner. I was actually
night of your birthday, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Also was my 23rd birthday. The day was good. I just was relaxing, then went to work. I was a server there. And, I made some good money, had some good tips. Parents came in, got to serve them, so that was fun. Then next thing I know, I wake up, and it's April 1st, 3 weeks later. I didn't really know that at first, but I looked over, and I saw my mom crying hysterically. Not realizing what had happened, she pretty much broke it down for me and told me, "Hey Jeff, you were in a pretty severe car crash. You're fine. You have all your limbs. Everything else checks out. I mean, you're doing as good as you can considering." So, I look down and I'm in a gown and my legs, I can't really move them, and I'm just wondering why. So she begins to explain that they had to take part of my right quad because there was some gangrene in it. It would have been infected. They had to taken out the whole leg if it wasn't for the miracles performed by the doctors that night. They're quick thinking to save the arteries in both legs. I think I broke at least 8 to 13 ribs. Not exactly sure how many, but I know at least
you broke
8.
both femurs.
Both, yeah, compound fractures in both femurs, which are now replaced with titanium rods. And then below the knee, in each leg, my nerves were stretched. I mean, thank God that they weren't severely damaged to the point where they couldn't return. So what that means is I just don't have any feeling, or at least I didn't start out with any feeling below my knees in each leg. That's gotten better as time's gone on. Starting to get a little more feeling sensations in both legs below the knee. And then finally, the major in the right knee was a torn ACL, torn LCL, torn patella tendon. So that was a major surgery they had to perform. It would have been 7 months after the accident. So I spent 2.5 months in the hospital, another month in an inpatient rehab facility, to which I learned to, get around with a wheelchair, stand up using the walker, kind of get around with the walker before I was transported home. Where I sat at home, got, in-home therapy from physical therapy, occupational therapy, and just home health nurses came by. Pretty much almost every day I had somebody come by checking on me, doing some kind of exercise or something like that. And then in December of 2015, I was actually able to start doing some outpatient rehab. That was tough because I had this surgery where I couldn't put any weight on my right knee, right leg, and so I had to put 7 weeks in a.
It's because there was no knee there.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah.
So for those that are keeping tally, how many injuries did you sustain in your accident? Because I know you forgot to talk about the fact that you died twice, wasn't it?
It was.
Do you know how? I think you have the total amount of time you were dead too, don't you? It was.
What I was told by numerous doctors was it was about 15 to 17 minutes.
You were dead. And they brought you back, and then they lost you. And
yeah.
They brought you back, and they stabilized you.
Yeah, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Kind of, at times I kind of forget about that.
That's kind of a big piece of the story, I think.
It's a huge piece of the story.
You defied death twice.
I'm like a cat, man. Got 9 lives.
Chuck Norris doesn't hold a candle to you.
I figured, if you do a car accident, you better do it right. Go big or go home. There's no little minor fender benders.
Right. And so you also had you sustained a large gash in your back, right? That was about.
Correct.
Didn't you and your dad measured it?
Correct. It
Like
was about a foot long.
About a foot long.
Yeah.
And you punctured a lung, right?
Correct.
Collapsed lung, punctured lung, something like that.
Correct. So the actual crash, which there was a video made from court that actually has the crash on.
Yeah, I know. You made me watch it. You made me watch it. He made me watch it.
It was voluntary. Nobody, if anyone's listening to this, it was voluntary, 100%. The whole way. So, but what happened was I was just driving home. I was driving west, actually, at 135th and Quivira, less than, a mile away from where I resided with my parents. And I was actually T-boned where the gentleman ran.
He was heading south, right?
Yes, he was heading south. When he was coming home, ran through a red light going 75 to 100 miles per hour, anywhere in between, maybe. They don't know the exact mile per hour, just because obviously the crash, you really couldn't tell.
There's no way you can know.
You can estimate, but never, really tell. But anyways, I was not wearing my seatbelt, which if people have seen pictures of the actual car after that, and I've been told by numerous cops and EMTs and firefighters that there's no way I would have survived. Would have been probably torn in half.
The car was split into two, and you were driving a 3000 GT Mitsubishi.
Correct.
What year was it? 90-something, right?
It was in 1997. Yeah.
97. So, if you want to, you can actually. These pictures are online. I'm sure.
Yeah, if you Google my name,
you could Google Jeff Kudlacik. Now it's Kudlacik, Kudlacik. You will see pictures of the accident.
Not if you want to do that, but if you do, they are there online. But anyway, so I was ejected from the car, went through the windshield, and by the hand of God, I hit a yield sign with my back, which explains the foot-long gash that's back there. And as Ryan alluded to earlier, I actually had a punctured lung and was told that it was actually hanging out at the scene of the crime. But luckily, I was able to stave off any head or spinal injuries, which, compared to everything else.
And that was because of the guardrail, right?
Yeah, there was a
little guardrail around the median.
Yeah, I was able to hit the yield sign / guardrail and then land in the grass.
That's correct. Yeah, like that small patch of grass.
Yeah, the small. And again, if you see pictures, you can tell how tiny of a window it was for me to land on and to avoid any more serious injuries compared to the ones I already.
So were they able to calculate the force at which you came out of the car at all?
I'm sure they have. I don't know the number. I don't know any of those statistics on that.
Because when you watch the video, I don't know if you can actually. I don't remember. I remember seeing the car virtually explode when he hits you, and then I don't remember if you can actually see your body flying or not.
I've watched it. I've watched it at least probably 10 to 15 times total. What they usually do is they just circle you. They kind of highlight where you are, but I've never been able to see me clearly during the accident.
Yeah, it happens really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And yeah, the amazing part was you had no brain or spinal injuries, which was looking at the car.
You would think it would be a lot worse.
The amount of injuries you had.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And did they have to do what's it called when they have to open up your throat?
They had to intubate me.
Yeah.
Because of the injury. And sorry, I'll backtrack a little bit. Another funny part of it was when the accident had occurred, I was on the ground line, and the firefighters and EMTs first responded and got there. They actually asked me what my name was, and I told them what my name was, at least my first name. I told them it was Jeff. And I actually tried to sit up and tried to actually get up, and the guy's like, no. You're not going anywhere. And
but you don't remember that.
No, and the last thing I actually really remembered was I was in Wichita that weekend right before my birthday, because the birthday was on a Tuesday. So I was at Wichita that weekend seeing a buddy of mine, and then when my parents told me they came and saw me, it kind of got that back in my head. Remember that a little bit, but in terms of the actual,
you mean at Newport Grill?
Yeah.
But
in terms of the actual crash and accident, I don't remember. I actually don't remember being hit, being thrown in the vehicle. First thing I remember then is it was about April 1st, and me waking up from the induced coma they put me in.
Yeah, because I remember that morning, very vividly. My mom called me between 7 or 8 in the morning. I was getting ready to head to. I was living in Lawrence at the time, getting ready to head over to Topeka to go to Washburn. Remember she called me, and I was like, when your mom calls, you're like, man, why is she calling me so early, man? Like, what's going on? And so I answer the phone. She's obviously upset, kind of hysterical, panicked. And then she could barely tell me that, she's like, she started off saying Jeff was in an accident, and then she just started sobbing. I was like, okay, something's up.
Yeah.
And she said, and they don't know if he's going to make it. And I heard that, and I remember I was just like, holy shit, dude. Like, what? Like, okay, so I got in my car immediately. I was doing like 90 on the highway trying to get home. And I remember showing up, seeing Joe, like your parents, and my parents were there. And I remember it was just all like, I felt like I was in a state of shock for like a good hour and a half driving home, even when I was there. And then we actually got to go in and see you. And you were obviously in an induced coma, white as a ghost. And I remember my mom couldn't hold it together. And me and my dad were just kind of sitting there, like looking at you, like, holy shit, like that's my good friend Jeff, like lying on a hospital bed, like fighting for his life. And I remember it was just crazy. And then you wake up April 1st, like you said. And then I remember the first couple of times that I went in to see you, we couldn't even actually verbally have a conversation. It was all through like hand gestures, or you would try and write me notes. And half the time I'm like, what the hell is he trying to, like, what's he trying to tell me, like, right now? I don't know.
I could never write before the crash.
Yeah. So, but I remember, yeah, dude, it was hard to even, like talk. So it was just like, it was just being there with you. It was just like, well, I guess that's all I can do right now is just, be there in the room with him and let him know, like, I'm there, I'm here, dude. Like we're all here for you. And then finally, you were able to get your speech back. And at first it was definitely progress, because it was very, like, it was high pitched, and it sounded like, you were really, really trying hard to, like, you had laryngitis or something like that. That's what it sounded like. Yeah. And from there, you got moved to the rehab center where you could actually, communicate better, slowly but surely. The voice came back, and then you were put in the wheelchair. And then from there, you went to the walker, right?
Correct.
The walker. And then you were in the walker for a while.
Yeah, I went from, and on top of that, I had, because the reason my voice was so bad too, I mean, obviously from the 3 weeks of
tracheotomy. You had a tracheotomy?
Yeah. I had to get trached. Yeah. I had a bowed vocal cord. And so I don't know exactly what that is. I've heard numerous times, and I should know, but I was just having a tough time trying to get anything out. So why we had to resort to hand gestures, and then probably after a week or so, I started getting some stuff out. But yeah, I was in the the wheelchair. And then I started out with the walker a little bit over there, but in terms of getting away from the walker, I mean, that was pretty much May to June of 2015 till about July 4th of last year. So over a year in terms of actually walking around with the walker and having to use that to help me get around. And after that, I moved to the cane around July 4th last year, and then finally, about a month ago, I was able to ditch the cane and haven't touched it since.
Now you're walking.
Yeah, and now I'm walking.
Not fast, but you're walking.
Yeah.
Legs are moving.
It's nice. It takes me a long time to get somewhere. If someone needs me there in 5 minutes, it's going to take about an hour. But
yeah, but I bet you wouldn't trade that for a wheelchair or walker.
Yeah, and like you said, you saw me pretty much from the first second you could when I was in there, and to see me here now, and the fact I actually was able to golf last weekend
blows my mind. Yeah, you golf last weekend. That blows my mind.
I couldn't have imagined it not 2 years ago. You would have couldn't have convinced me. There's no way. So that's pretty cool.
I think one of the things you told me was your biggest goal was getting back on the course. That was the one thing you cared about more than anything, was being able to. You didn't care if you couldn't play basketball.
Right.
Obviously, you really never cared about being able to run. So being able to get back on the golf course means a lot to you. Yeah, it means the world to you.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But so also I wanted to talk about your progress, because I mean, as you mentioned, I've been part of the process of helping strengthen your upper body, parts of your lower body that we can get to, and then helping with the nerve regeneration. I can't even remember. You've been training at 68s for over a year, right?
Well, I'm trying to think. I know February or March of 2016. I was going to say of last year. I know
because you came in. We were doing
to do some pool therapy as well as.
Yeah, we did the pool workouts, and then we'd work out in the weight room.
Yeah.
twice a week, I think, is what we did.
I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yeah,
Tuesdays
correct.
and Thursdays, and then
Correct.
we switched to just Saturdays. Once you started to train like 4 days a week, you said.
Correct. Yeah, Monday, Wednesday,
And so-
Friday, and then Saturday.
And so you've gotten a lot stronger, which is amazing to see, considering the hell you went through. But yeah, I think we had some interesting moments in the pool. He fell in one time. And try and blame me, but I mean, there's not much you can do,
Here's the thing, guys. Whoever listens to this, I was getting out of the pool, and you heard, my strength was not obviously what it is today. My balance is not great, at least what it was a year ago. And I'm trying to get out of the pool. I'm going up the steps. I'm looking for the walker. And as I'm getting to the top step, my right knee buckles, which is a usual occasion considering all the work I had done on it. And as I'm looking at Ryan, and I stare him right in the eye, guys. I don't kid you. I'm staring him right in the eye, hoping for help, looking for help. And I kid you not, I think he pulled the walker away and then looked at me, and I said, "Ryan," and he just watched. He just felt.
That's fabricated.
It's a truism or factoid, if you will. Yeah. No, honestly, yeah. It probably was. Just at that moment, it was funny because I did look for him for help, but he was far away, and it wasn't like he'd probably make any move anyways. I was going down. But the best part about that story is, at least from Ryan's view for sure, is it felt like it took an eternity for me to fall.
Yeah, you fell for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, just to go like one step.
Yeah, just to go into the water. Like, dude, just fall.
Just
what is taking you so long, man? Just fall.
You're embarrassing yourself, man. Just let it go. You're okay, man.
But I think one of the coolest moments in the pool was when we've actually, you didn't have to use the wall, and you actually walked in the pool.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like foreshadowing in a way.
Yeah, it was.
Like, hey, this is possible.
Yeah, because
whether you're in the pool or once we get you out of the pool, but it's possible. You're going to be able to walk again.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of the cool moments we had.
Yeah. Finally hit me for sure.
Yeah. And so now, you're doing, you squat. You can squat now. You do pretty well with closed chain movements. You've recently, I think, past couple months, starting to get into open chain movements where you're actually pushing sleds. You're doing farmer carries, which we've done. You've done some deadlifting. Deadlifting's kind of hard.
A little bit with the balance, but
yeah. I haven't really got into like unilateral stuff yet, but you've been able to plank. Progress has been amazing, and then also to have Joe in there with you, I think that helps out a lot.
Yeah.
That way, all the focus isn't on you.
Right.
He can take some of the pressure off with some of the foolish things he does in the weight room, but hey man, he works hard too, so that's good to have.
Yeah. Well, we have a really good trainer. What can I say?
Yeah. What can you say?
I'm not saying. No, but on that note, I'm really fortunate. You've been great, and then also Ray Vidari, as I mentioned earlier, you put in time and effort to get a game plan for me, and to get me where I am today. Like we said, from walker to cane to walking without any of that to farmer carries to deadlifts to squats. I couldn't have imagined again. So I appreciate you too.
Oh man, it's always a pleasure having you in there, man. And it's all you. It's all you. I can tell you what workouts to do, how to do them, but I can't,
Do the work
physically make you do the work. You do it yourself, and it's been cool to see the determination that you've had to come back and, live your life. And that's another thing is that crash didn't change you one bit. In the beginning it was, obviously waking up,
right,
not knowing where you were. It's been 3 to 4 weeks later.
Yeah.
You look down, you're in a hospital bed, you can't move your legs. Obviously there's going to be a little of, something that's going to happen to your psyche, which I think, it would happen to anybody, not just you.
Right.
So, there's always that little hump, but you got over that hump pretty quick. And we were laughing and joking, a couple weeks after the fact. And so it's kind of been a blessing for all of like your friends and families that we didn't have to see you go, through any kind of brain trauma or any, you weren't paralyzed. And so we're fortunate for that, let alone that you're still alive and here and being able to sit down and do this podcast with me. So, that in itself is amazing.
Thank you.
So let's continue. So you've been doing some talks, right, with the fire department, police department. You've met with the people that saved your life and the doctors over at OP Regional. What were those experiences like for you when you went and talked to them?
Yeah.
How many talks have you done?
Well, I'm trying to think. So let's run through it. Great Save event, which that was at Overland Park Regional, is where every quarter or so they bring back one patient. They just kind of like saved. I don't know, that's not like save their life, but just it's a really big impact. So that was a talk. I got to.
I'd say you fall under both those categories.
Yeah, I fit the requirements. So yeah, I was able to go. Got there. Some news people came. It was just to talk about how they saved my life and how what I've been through and everything, and that was a great experience. To which then 2 days later, I was invited back to talk to the board of directors there. It's not really a speech per se, but more just talk to them about the patient-staff interaction and how good of a job that OPR did. Made me feel really just welcomed, felt like really special, and helped me get through that time.
Yeah, they did a great job. Even when we had questions, they answered as best they could. They were very cut and dry. They didn't sugarcoat anything. They were just like here's what it is, and we appreciated that because it gave us a better idea and expectations.
Yeah, I was born there. I've been there for a lot. It's a good hospital for sure. So those two things, and then I've been able to speak at my buddy's school, Joe Seagraves. He worked at McLeod. He was able to bring me by last March, a couple months ago, for a talk to the kids. Pretty much it was prom season, so pretty much I talked to them about my accent, and they actually got to see the video that I was talking about earlier.
The video definitely adds,
yeah, it sets the scene for sure.
To the anecdote, definitely adds to it.
Yeah, it's something definitely the first two times I'll never forget watching.
First you watch the video and you can't help but cringe.
Yeah. My parents and we got it before Thanksgiving a couple of years ago. And the first time we watched that, we all watched it together, and it was intense. We all broke down crying. It was, the whole incident itself was bad enough, but then to replay it in your head, especially when I didn't remember, it was tough to see. But yeah, so I got to show that at McLeod High School. Show the kids, hey, no matter what you do this prom season, no matter what you do in life, not only make reasonable decisions for yourself, but there's other people that could be involved. People that, aren't drinking, or people that they're just driving home from work. The safety of yourself and other people's lives are in your hands. So be smart and responsible.
Because we have a responsibility, for each other as human beings.
Right.
Because we're going to interact with each other one way or another. And you think about all the thousands of people you may see, in a year or in a day, in a month, and how a decision that you make can affect them. And I think, that's important that people understand.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And then I got to talk recently at the police station in this area. They were doing a local DUI checkpoint check lane thing a week or two ago, and I was able to just share a few words, and there's a family, and I forget the girl's name that actually was unfortunate enough to pass, but I believe it's the Vogel family, and it was the girl that was out in Stillwell. I don't know how many people have heard that story. I think you have, Ryan, about the girl. Well, what happened was she was driving home. I forget from where, but there was a guy that just went around drinking in construction areas and just wanted to get drunk one night, and unfortunately, I think ran a stop sign, ended up killing her. And again, I wouldn't quote me on those facts, but that's a general basis of it, and it should have never happened. But my point of my message to the police officers was, of their DUI checkpoint check lane, was that, I'm the fortunate one. I'm the lucky one. I get to go home and actually, talk to my parents, see my friends, see my family, give them kisses on the cheek, give them hugs, tell them I love them. And unfortunately for that family, they'll never be able to see that daughter again. So that was my message, at how powerful and how impactful and how influential that their DUI checkpoints can be, because I know people hate it. They don't want to get pulled over. You never do.
I think there's ways around that, though. That's just so stupid to say, like, oh, we got checkpoints, man. We gotta try and avoid them. Like, well, how would you plan around it? There's services out there.
Right.
There's such thing as having a designated driver.
Yeah.
It's stuff it's easily avoidable stuff, but
Agreed. I mean, like you said, I mean, today's age, you have Ubers, taxis. I mean,
You Lyft. There's so many things that you can do.
Friends, family. I mean, yeah, there's just so many alternatives. And to think one night, I'll be fine. Nothing's going to happen. And that's all it takes is one time. Could change your life.
Yeah.
So, and then, sorry, I got on the tangent. But in terms of my talks, I'm trying to think. I think it's the main ones I've had. I do apologize. So I had the Mad Walk last year, the annual Mad Walk.
That's the Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Yeah, correct. It was in October of last year, and they have it once a year, and they had it down, I think, Shawnee Mission Park, I want to believe. Mm-hmm. And so I had about a 5-10 minute speech where I was just told to talk about my experience in the recovery process and how I'm working with MAD to try to, make the world a better place, a safer place. Because as you just said earlier, there's no reason to not be responsible, not think about your actions. There's no place for it, no place for drunk driving.
Right. What was the most recent one you did?
The most recent, it would have been at the sheriff's station, about a week or two ago.
Okay.
And then McLeod was then about a month or two before that.
Okay. Yeah, I think you should definitely try and get in touch with more people and see if you can, talk to more kids, more teenagers, even adults. Because, I mean, you can't exclude adults, man.
Right.
They're the main culprits.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you should try and talk to people and really, get out there and try and give more talks,
Yeah. I'm looking at, there's things called victim impact panels or VIPs where with MAD, at least they only had one in Johnson County, as far as I know, pretty much every year, but they're trying to expand that. But it's where you take actual offenders who are court-ordered to go to these mandated things. And I went to one last year. It was Olathe Northwest High School. But to hear the people on stage tell their stories, and for them, they weren't victims, but they were actually the parents or family members or friends of the victims. Because unfortunately, they were not able to survive their crash.
They were directly impacted by it.
Right. And so we've been in talks to help getting that going to where I can maybe go to Topeka or more hopefully in Johnson County where I can spread that word too. But yeah, looking for opportunities all the time. And I think, like you said, schools would be great to talk to, get the kids, talk to them about it.
Yeah. So OP Regional, man, they did an amazing job, as we talked about earlier. I know you briefly mentioned, how they helped you. Who were your doctors specifically? Because I know you've went back and you've talked to them a little bit.
There's again, it's interesting. I wouldn't wish this upon anybody, but what I've heard different testimonies and stories about the people that were in the emergency room that night, and there was over, I think, 30 to 35 people in that room working on me all at once.
Oh, you're talking about doctors and nurses and whatnot?
Yeah, volunteers, everybody. Yeah.
Wow.
But the main doctors, I pretty much probably had 3 to 4 main doctors. One doctor that worked on debriding my leg, which is just to clean out the leg, like I talked about earlier with the quad, where I actually had to have that removed. So she would work twice a week while I was in the hospital for the 70 days. To clean out my leg, take me to surgery, and just clean it out, and actually have a wound vac on me to try to suck out any other.
I remember the wound vacs.
Yeah, the wound vacs were no fun. Pretty much had to live my life around that. I mean, again, I was in a tough position anyways, but yeah, that was tough. But that was Dr. Molly Black. She did a great job, making sure the rest of my leg would stay intact. Another main one was Dr. Juan Carlos Correa, who I still see currently every 3 to 6 months.
Just check up?
Yeah, he was the vascular surgeon.
Okay.
So he checks on the veins and arteries. Because the main arteries in both legs, they actually had to put plastic grafts into the legs. Mm-hmm. My left leg, I believe it's maybe a centimeter or 2 wide. Long, it's not that long of a graft, but my right leg pretty much goes from about my right knee to almost to my groin area. That's a little bit longer. But so I see him every, few months to just check to make sure the blood flows good in the legs. And everything's still fine with each of those legs. And then finally, I guess the other main doctor I have really is Dr. Daniel Farrell. and he is the one that performed my reconstruction surgery on my knee to fix the ACL, LCL, patella tendon. Which a weird thing about my right knee is because the surgery took so long to actually commence, I actually have calcium deposits. So my actual knee is shifted up from its point of where, another human being would have it. And I actually have pretty much 1.5 knees on my right knee. So it looks really swollen. It looks really weird. But when you look at it, that's just how it is now. But besides that, the patella tendon, which I believe he had to use some cadaver stuff. But he did a great job with that. I see him every few months just to check on the knee, and as well as he put in the titanium rods. So I check on my femurs as well.
You'll keep those rods for the rest of your life?
As far as I know, yeah. Just amazing. The femur is the toughest bone to break in the body, and I broke both on the same night. So within seconds.
That's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
So another thing that kind of came from this was some legislation you're trying to pass, or you're in the current process of, trying to pass.
Yeah.
So go ahead and let you kind of talk about that. I know it has to do with bars, and you kind of, I don't know how much legally you're allowed to speak about the accident or whatnot. So I'll kind of leave that up to you.
Yeah. Got to be honest, I really don't know either. But all I know is I won't mention the bars names right now because I don't think that would be good. But I won't mention the gentleman who hit me as well. Besides that, though, I think I'm okay to talk about anything else pretty much. But so to set the scene there is the gentleman that hit me, he was at 2 different bars that night that he hit me. I forget the exact time he started drinking, but he was at a bar, and he had, I've heard up to 10 to 12 vodka gimlets. And again, I've never drank before, but I've heard that's a lot of alcohol. To which then he went to another bar, and he proceeded to have a few beers and I think maybe a slice of pizza. But again, I don't know the time frame, but after that he left, and then that's when he hit me. So the legislation I'm trying to pass is to try to make bars more responsible. It's weird. I believe Kansas is one of 5, 6, 7 states, I believe, that has no such thing as a dram shop law. And what a dram shop law is, it's just holding some kind of liability for bars. It ranges on the different states. The other states, they don't have like a set law for it, but it's just,
You're talking about over-serving customers.
Correct, because, again, the negligence on their part to, again, I've never been drunk before, and I've never really been around that type of scene per se, but I feel like if a person was intoxicated as much as he was, which I guess at the time of the accident, he was at least 2 to 3 times the legal limit. About an hour after the accident, they took his BAC, which was 0.17, and that was an hour after the accident. So who knows what it was at the time. But anyways, like you said, yeah, it's the over-serving. They know how much drinks they've given him, and if that's the case, if he starts to waver, starts to look sloppy, as a bartender, you should know, how much alcohol you've been giving him, how much it's going to take for someone to, be over that limit, and to be responsible about it. But then to let him walk out of there, knowing full well he's going to drive home, I don't think there's a place for it, especially if you can be safe for not only yourself, but, you want those patrons to come in. You want those patrons to be safe. You want them to come back. And had he killed himself and or me, that's 2 less people.
Both of you.
Yeah, that's 2 less people you're going to have to come back to your bar.
It's an interesting topic because I think people are going to look at both sides of it.
Correct.
Meaning, the bar's going to try and make business, or they're going to try and make money. Sorry. And so they're going to, they want you to come out and have a good time, get drunk, because they know that their tips are going to go up,
right?
And they're going to make more money. Yeah. But on the other side of that, to your experience, like, I did kill you.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, who do we hold responsible? The bar, do we hold the bar responsible and, limiting how much drinks you can have at that bar?
Right.
Or do we put it all on the customer, to be conscious of how much they're drinking, and then their means of getting home. Because now I say this, not to speak for anyone, but the bar, I don't know if the bar cares necessarily what happens once you pay your tab and leave, right?
I would agree.
Because they're just focused on their business. They're focused on making money.
Right.
So they're like, all right, have a good night, be safe. And then, whatever happens after that, it happens.
Right.
But so, where do we go? Where do we go with that?
And like you said, very good points. And honestly, and I'll be honest, I mean, I do see the bar side. I understand, like what you said, it's a profit-minded thing. And so I get why they obviously would want any legislation that we're trying to pass to go through. But yeah, so we've been working with a couple lawyers. And again, right now I forget exactly where the bill is that we're trying to pass. I want to say the Supreme Court of Kansas, but I could be wrong. But anyways, it's just the reason we went about this is because the gentleman that hit me, he just, in terms of the medical bills, which are now up to, I believe, total is like at least 1.7 something of what their insurance actually had to pay out for me. I mean, the total bills was even more than that, but insurance only pays a certain percentage.
Right.
But I mean, to live in your life, to now you have to pay $1.7 million in bills. That's just, it should.
He did say 1.7 million.
Yeah. And again, it's only can continue to rise because I have to go see doctors.
Interest and
yeah. I mean, that won't go away for the rest of my life.
And I mean, for me, I had my fun in college, and so I'm not a huge fan of going out to all the bars and getting really drunk and all that. And excuse me, I'd rather sit at home, have a glass of wine, or maybe a glass of whiskey or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not into the whole going out and getting crazy and partying. I kind of had that phase already, and I'm kind of looking, because in my view, I think you can have fun without altering your state of mind.
Agreed.
You can. Now, if you want to, that's your choice. But what we talked about earlier, your choices also affect other people directly with what decisions you make, and I think that's the main point of this whole, what we're talking about. Yeah. And so I think what you're doing is important, and I really hope that something comes to fruition with it, because I think somebody has to be held accountable so we can prevent situations like yours.
Well, thank you. I agree.
And I mean, that might save, is there any data on whether that can save, taxpayers money, for setting up DUI checkpoints to where, maybe, because I know in Kansas they just announced that they're limiting the amount of checkpoints that they're going to start doing.
And I mean, yes, I don't know the exact data in terms of.
Is it hailing outside?
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
That sounds like it's raining pretty hard a little bit outside. I don't know the exact data, but the station I went to this past weekend, that was going to be their only checkpoint of the year, which is this one they were having a week ago. That was it. For 12 months, they're going to have one. So again, I don't know how much it costs. I'm sure, it's not cheap to do all this stuff. And I do get that. At the end of the day, money does drive the world. But if I can just save one life, that's all that matters, because what happened to me, again, it sucks, but if we can just save people down the road and in the future, that's what matters. And hopefully legislation at least does it. If not legislation, at least people talking about my story, me talking about my story, hopefully it just makes you think again,
Yeah, definitely. But I know that you did have you had some positive things that came from the accident. You actually met your girlfriend. She was your speech therapist, and so you actually had a little positive, something positive happened there for you.
Yeah, no, she's been amazing. And actually, our technically 1 year dating anniversary is coming up on Thursday. But now to start off, because she would probably kill me if I didn't say this or preface it, but we weren't dating or anything while I was in the hospital. It was after the hospital when we actually reconnected and started the. So she was nothing but professional while she was working with me. But what's funny is I did my undergrad at KU for 4 years. Okay, and she's a Missouri grad. That's going to set the stage later. But when I first woke up from the induced coma, I had a speech therapist named Kimberly. She was the main one, but Elizabeth, the girlfriend, she was the student speech therapist. So at first I worked with Kimberly, closer. But as time went on, Kimberly let Elizabeth kind of take control and do what she thought was the best for my treatment. And so for the first couple weeks, I was stuck with just a peg tube. I couldn't drink any water. I had to actually suck off of sponges, little
I remember that.
tiny sponges. Yeah, you got to be honest. That month was tough. I mean, I'll admit I did get thickened liquids and then some pureed food about midway, probably through April, or maybe less, 3 weeks after that whole started. But to be able to eat and drink your whole life and then to be told you can't eat, you can't drink, or you'll die, because all the stuff I would have aspirated.
That sounds kind of contradicting, right?
I know, right?
Because you have to eat and drink to survive.
I know.
And now you can't.
So I was like, what the heck's going on here? But, I mean, I guess I did get my food from the peg tube. And then, again, I had to suck off the sponges, or else get, stuff through the IV. Because I would have aspirated things, which means all the food and drink would have gone to my lungs, and I would have ended up, dying that way. Which after surviving, the car crash, that would have been a way to go, right?
Right.
But so, anyways, yeah. So she, we were able to get myself to the point where I was actually cleared on like her second. I think it might have been her actual last day or second to last day that she was a student speech therapist. We actually got me cleared to actually eat legit food, legit drink, which I got Chipotle that night because that was the night of the NFL draft. I'll never forget that. So I actually got Chipotle. I had a Coke, I think, or maybe just water. I don't know if they wanted me to have anything besides water. So I forget that part, but I know I had Chipotle. I had a burrito bowl. One of the nurses got it for me. He's a good dude named Bobby.
Dude, they use Coke to like clean off blood off the street and.
Oh. No, that's it. Yeah.
Coca-Cola.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. But anyways, so then I see her periodically when I went back to doctor's appointments and stuff. I see her in the hall, and what's funny is I guess she always kind of had a thing for me, which when I was in the hospital, I had my 2 front teeth were out. I had this, can't think of the name right now, but I had pretty much this metal bar hanging out of my right leg. I had wound vac. I was down from 185 pounds to about 130 pounds. I mean, I'd lost 55 pounds in 3 weeks.
You had the castaway beard.
Yeah, I had the castaway beard. Just, yeah, like you said earlier, I was white, pale as a ghost. Nothing really attractive, at least from my view. I don't know what you were seeing, but who knows?
I'm not here to judge.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you like what you like. So, but anyway, she kind of had a thing for me, and I didn't realize that until I was talking about that Great Save event I went to. But then it was 2 days later when I was going to that board of directors meeting where I got to the hospital early. I think it was at 2 o'clock was the thing. And I got there like 11 o'clock. I don't know why. I think I wanted to go see some people. I thought it'd take longer. I didn't, I don't walk very fast. I thought it might take me a while to get to people. But anyways, I saw people for about 30 minutes, and I was like, wow, I have 2 hours to kill, and I don't want to go back home. So I was like, I'll just head to the cafeteria. So I head to the cafeteria. I see some people I know. I text my OT, my occupational therapist, tell her, hey, I'm in the cafeteria. Would you want to come down and chat for a little bit? So she comes down. We're talking. And I see Elizabeth, walking across the room. And what's funny is I don't think she first saw us at first. But come to find out later, she just didn't really recognize me because from what she saw in the hospital to what I looked
Changed
like.
man.
Yeah. To looking like
You had 2 front teeth this time.
That's a big difference. But I was actually a normal looking human being, for the first time that she had seen me. And so, finally we flag her over. She gets down. We're starting to talk. And I was telling the couple therapists that were sitting there, I was like, hey, I'm getting ready to go do this talk, but I have this fundraiser at Top Golf coming up in a few months. And, I'd love to give you more information if you guys want to come. Just need your I just need your number or anything. And, she gave it to me. And, I didn't know, again, anything from it. I just was trying to get the number down. And, but she was beautiful, smart, funny. Probably an hour or two later after the talk, I just texted her and said, hey, how you doing? And we started talking for a little bit. And I wanted to ask her out then, but she had something going on over the weekend, some Warrior Dash thing. So I was like, well, okay, I'll just wait. If it's not meant to be, who knows? I'm like, hey. But then next week, I was talking to her, and I was like, hey, I owe you because you got me this chocolate cupcake, after I'd passed my speech thing, and, which I thought was a normal tradition there, but I guess that's not. Didn't know that. But anyways, but she got me that. I was like, well, I owe you dinner or something. She's like, wow, I thought you'd never ask. No, she didn't say that. No, she was happy. She was nice about it. But I think in her mind, she's like, Jesus, guy takes forever. He's as slow in his game as in his walk. This guy's awful. It's the worst. But yeah, no, she's great. It's been about a year. Gone through a lot of things, and no, she's awesome though. Love her to death. So I owe her. I mean, not only for being a great girlfriend, but really got my speech and then able to eat, talk, drink, and without her, I mean, that would be, I don't know where I'd be. So
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
So, what's the future look like for you? You going back to medical school? That's your goal?
Yeah, as of right now, again, I think I alluded to earlier, I'm taking the MCAT again in about a month and a half or so. And yeah, I applied in the past, and it was weird. I actually had sent some applications in on my birthday, the day of the crash, and my buddy's dad had to email all the schools, tell them, hey, he'll apply again in the future, but he can't make it for now. But yeah, that's my plan. I'm just applying right now, trying to do whatever I can, because that would be great. I want to help people the way I was helped, and I hope it's through being a doctor, probably orthopedic surgeon or something different if it catches my eye. But if not, motivational speaking would be great, like you said earlier, because people feel good when they hear a story. Mm-hmm. When they hear a testimony, I think such as this, I think it can move some people and make lives better. So in any way I can help people, that was my goal when I was a young kid, and that's my goal now.
Yeah. So the message of the crash was, well, I think there's a couple. The big one being your decisions impact other people.
Yes.
We have to hold ourselves accountable for those decisions, and then determination, perseverance. It's real. You're living proof. Defied death twice. Walking again. Lifting weights. Playing golf. Granted, maybe not playing great, but at least you're on the course, man. You're swinging the clubs.
I should say my handicap is not great.
Well, that's besides the fact.
But yeah, and like you said, one thing I learned too is no matter what you face in life, is I think a big part is to be positive. A support system. Again, you're a great friend. I love you, man. We've been best friends for years, and
love you too, man.
But I just had a great support system. I was able to stay positive because it's very very easy to get negative, to want to just
give
think,
up.
Yeah, to want to give up, to not, life, God, people, the world's against you. I could have easily had hatred in my heart towards the guy that hit me. Just thought, why did this happen to me? A 23-year-old kid. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's good to be positive because no matter what happens in life, I survived.
Right.
I did die twice, but I'm here. And hopefully going to spread my message and live each day to its last and just make sure I do something with it that will be productive. But just stay positive, treat each day like it's your last and enjoy while you got it, Don't take things for granted.
Yeah. I think it also kind of speaks to who the kind of person you are, that you had such a great support system because you had so many people that wanted to be involved in your recovery. They wanted to be there for you. And I can't think of a single human being that you've come into contact with that, doesn't, like you as a person. Anybody that you say, hey, like, you remember Jeff Kudlacik? They're like, oh, yeah, dude, how's Jeff doing? Stuff like that. It's never like, oh, Jeff.
Yeah, the guy without the quad.
Screw that guy. Yeah. You don't ever hear that. So I think that speaks to your character a lot.
Well, thank you.
And
appreciate that.
It's unfortunate what happened to you, but the results, that we're seeing now, you kind of send a message out to everybody. And I hope that everyone can kind of take something away from that,
Well, thank you.
On either side.
Yeah, of course.
Taking responsibility, holding themselves accountable, and also, like you said, remaining positive through anything that life throws at you. Don't take anything or anyone for granted. Yeah. And, live every day as if it's your last. And that's kind of a cliche thing to say, but
you never know.
Why do we hear it so many times if it's so cliche?
Yeah.
And that's, I think it's a really important thing to live by. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this episode with you, was because I know you had a lot to tell people. Maybe this can reach further than what you've been able to do with, talking to the PD. Did you talk to the fire department?
I met with the fire department.
Just the people that saved your life?
We had like a breakfast together just to meet and just thank them, but no speech in terms of that.
Yeah. And so, this could, opportunity for you to get that message out there, and hopefully, you get to speak to more people, whether it be teenagers, college athletes, adults in general. Yeah. It's a very unfortunate story, but it has a positive ending, and the message is, priceless. And
agreed.
I still use your story, whenever I'm feeling like, dragging, feeling sorry for myself. I'm like, well, I can still walk and do all the things that I want. I didn't have to go through a traumatic event like you did. And so I'm being a giant baby, basically. And that's, another story I talked to you earlier about, a guy I met, Wesley Hamilton. Yeah. He's part of the organization that he started called Disabled But Not Really. He's got a similar story where he was shot, suffered a very horrific spinal cord injury, had a pressure ulcer, was bedridden for 2 years, overweight, was depressed, and then he found diet nutrition, dropped like 100 pounds, started winning bodybuilding competitions for disabled people, and now he has fulfillment in his life. And a similar message,
That's
remain
a fantastic
positive.
Story.
Yeah, remain positive, and don't take anything for granted. And he genuinely wants to help people, similar to what you were just saying. You want to help people, maybe in a different way, whether it be through speaking or becoming a doctor. He wants to raise awareness for disabled people and let them know, like, you're stronger than you think you are. That's kind of his slogan. Yeah. And it's it's like, as human beings, like, why does it take a story like that to get a message across?
Yeah.
I feel like we're kind of backwards in that retrospect, but you got to take the messages when you can and apply them to your life, and I think that's what is important about this episode. So it's awesome, dude.
Oh, thank you,
Your
man.
story's great.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, you look great. You look huge.
I'm just trying to get on your level, man. Geez, your shirt just ripped. Like mid podcast, it just ripped.
People can't see, but I'm also wearing your shirt from your fundraising event.
Yeah,
the Stop Drunk Driving shirt.
Yeah, simple message, but
powerful.
Yeah,
and very simple.
Yeah. I'm a simple mind. I don't got much going on.
This is the guy that's taking the MCAT.
Yeah,
wanting to be a
not
doctor.
Very well,
I hope that we don't have doctors that are simple-minded. You want to live simply. That's one thing, man. But
right, yeah, I might. Yeah, better.
Come on, dude. There's something deeper than that. You're more.
What you see is what you get.
Well,
no, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
And then also your cousin, Cody, helped me out with my website. That is the whole reason I was able to get this podcast out there. And that's kind of an interesting story. Is when I was texting you, what was it, like a couple weeks ago, a month ago, and I told you that I wanted to do a podcast, and I wanted to, have you as a guest on there. And I told you, like, I don't know what I'm doing, dude. I think I have like a website that's about to be set up, and you're like, and you told me about Cody, and like your cousin's got this, Venture Technologies is the name of his company, and they do excellent work, and Cody's been awesome with setting up my website and hosting it for me and managing it, and so if you're looking to get a website designed for your company, you want to start a company, you need a website. Venture Technologies. The guy's name is Cody Ketzner, Ketzner, Cody
Correct,
Ketzner.
Yeah.
He does really cool stuff. Very professional, very cost efficient. Saved me a lot of money, and very excited about where this is going.
Yeah, well, the great thing about you guys is,
and that happened with you, man. You got me set up. I was like, when you told me that, I was like, dude, I totally forgot that Cody does that. I kind of felt bad.
Oh, well, you guys are both very hard workers, so I'm just glad that, again, things like that, God kind of sends a sign. Like, I don't even know why you were even texting me that day. I guess probably talk about the podcast, but just the fact you mentioned the website thing, because I did not mention I wouldn't have probably said anything, but when you mentioned you were saying it and you're kind of struggling with it, I was like, well, geez, yeah, I got this cousin. He doesn't do anything else, but he can do it for you.
Doesn't do anything.
No, he's an amazing guy. No, you two are two of the hardest workers I know. Day in and day out, you guys give it your 110%.
Hey, that's the name of the podcast, man. Maximum effort.
It's a great name. MVP, baby.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. I just lost my train of thought, dude.
That's okay.
About Cody.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I went
He's
and
bald.
ended up paying for this hosting website. Went and had a meeting with him, and he sat there with me and actually helped me get refunded. I got, I want to say, I didn't get all my money back because I wanted to keep the ownership of my domain name. And then he was able to forward the domain to his company. And then from there, he just took off with it. He designed my logo for me, and he's setting up the streaming for it. And it's going to be on my social media page, Twitter and Instagram, StanzyBaby24, StanzyBaby, number 2, number 4. So that's where you can find it. It'll also be on the website, themaximumeffort.com. You got anything else for me, dude?
I think we pretty much covered it, man.
We covered all of it? You sure? You can't think of anything in your giant brain,
Simple-minded giant brain.
anything in your giant muscles that you're developing that you want to say?
I mean, I think we pretty much covered it. Again, no matter what life, throws at you, just know that people are there for you, Again, like you said, I mean, you literally came, instead of going to class or something that day, you literally came out. You drove all the way. Drove all the way out there.
Well, I guess I should thank you, man. You got me out of class that day.
Hey, I'll do anything. Hey, I'll do anything for friends. I'll do anything to get a girlfriend. I mean, it's just, that's what I do,
Respect, man.
No, but anything. Just support system and positivity. And I said earlier, but can't stress it enough. Just, give your parents a hug, give your friends a hug, tell them you love them. They're important people, important things. Just do what you can with your life.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much, dude, for doing this.
Thanks, buddy.
Fist bump. Keep chugging, man. You're doing great. You're looking great. You're making great progress. Best of luck with med school.
Thank you.
And good luck on your MCAT. Again, thanks for the message, dude, and we'll definitely stay in touch, and hopefully we can get you on here again so we can get like updates and whatnot, and see what else you're working on. And
I mean, we usually text a couple times a week, anyways. We're friends.
Like, we are good friends.
We don't have
I guess that's context that we have to put out there.
Sorry, I reminded you. That probably really hurt you. Hurt your vibe.
Dude, you're an awesome guy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
All right, man.
Appreciate it.
Yep. We'll see you guys later.